Greetings and salutations, internet friends, and welcome back to another episode of the First Time Film Club. My name is Emily, your titular first timer. This is Matthew, my husband, Cinema Sherpa, and viewer submitted title, Movie Primer Matthew.
Oh.
Because you get me, you get it. That one was from Jackson Rennick. Thank you so much. You too can leave names for Matthew by dropping them in the comments below. Use hashtag title. Makes it much easier for me to find, and I appreciate it. And we, of course, have Pippin. He's our cat. He's lovely. He likes naps. Sometimes he naps up here. Sometimes he naps on the floor. So if he disappears, that's where he went. For those of you joining us for the first time, hello. What we're doing here is watching our way through a very long list of movies that typically I've never seen, but that Matthew has. I do know that this movie is from one of our Just Some super fans on Patreon, so thank you for this pick, patron. Matthew, what are we watching?
Today we are watching the 1957 drama 12 Angry Men. And as per usual, I give you the year, genre, and title. You go in whatever you already know, then we watch it and review it. So, what do you know about 12 Angry Men?
More than I'd like. Y'all, dudes can get so angry over the dumbest things. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I do know that it's courtroom something.
Your joke is bad and you should feel bad.
Well, okay. Calm down, angry man. Yeah, I do know that it's courtroom. I know that this is the original, that there is a remake from, I think, the 90s, maybe. And the 12 Angry Men, I think, has to be the jurors. I don't know who's in it. I don't know the specific premise. Courtroom.
Okie doke. Anything else?
No.
Alright. Well, the only other thing for first-time viewers is you may see my phone in my hand at some point during the movie. That's because I'm taking notes on things to talk about afterwards. And that being said, ready to watch.
Let's go. Ooh.
You've listened to a long and complex case, murder in the first degree. If there's a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. You're faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
The judge said that with boredom, you know? Like,
well, this isn't his first time, you know.
Fair enough. But also, you still got somebody's life in your hands, you know? I'm sorry, is that a child? Oh, I know that. Henry Fonda. I know that name. Ed Begley. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never been on a jury before.
I sat on many juries.
I haven't been on jury duty yet.
Me neither.
If you ask me, I'd slap those tough kids down before they start me trouble.
Oh, I'm probably not going to like you very much.
I mean, asking grown-up people to believe that kind of jazz, huh? I expect that.
Will you point out who the hell Henry Fonda is?
Well, your horn works, now try your lights. We can all get out of here pretty quick, huh? I don't know about the rest of you, but I happen to have tickets to that ball game tonight. Yeah, we got this kid Modulewski in there. Oh, he's a real bull, this kid. Boom! Real jug handle.
What do these words mean?
Well, I thought we'd sit in order, you know, by jury numbers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on around the table. Gentlemen at the window. We'd like to get started.
Kid kills his father.
Who's he?
Just like...
That's Henry Fonda, by the way.
Okay. Who's Ed Begley?
Ed Begley's the one where it's a cough.
Oh, okay,
cough
sorry.
in his hand.
I think it's customary to take a preliminary vote. Have a first-degree murder charge here, and if we vote the accused guilty, we've got to send him to the chair. I think we know that.
Let's see you.
I mean, do you? Because...
No, they don't seem to be taking it seriously,
No,
some
like,
of them.
this cat's trying to get to a ball game. F*** off.
Just remember that this has to be 12-0 either way. Now, all those voting guilty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Those voting not guilty, 1.
Boy, oh boy, there's always one.
Well, thank God.
So, what do we do now?
You deliberate.
You really think he's innocent? I don't know. We're talking about somebody's life here. Can't decide it in 5 minutes. Let's take an hour. Ball game doesn't start till 8 o'clock.
Yeah. How about that?
We heard the facts, didn't we? You're not going to tell me that we're supposed to believe this kid knowing what he is? Listen, I've lived among them all my life.
Them.
I mean, they're born liars.
Only
There we
an
go.
ignorant man can believe that.
Now, listen.
Do you think you were born with a monopoly on the truth? I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose we go once around the table.
I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof's on the prosecution.
Yep.
The old man lived downstairs under the room where the killing took place. And he heard the kid yell out, "I'm going to kill you." Second later, he heard a body hit the floor. Ran to the door, opened it up, saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house.
You can't refute facts. The kid is guilty.
But was it premeditated?
The boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies during the time of the killing, and yet 1 hour later, he couldn't remember the names of the films he saw or who played in them.
What about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does. His window was right opposite hers across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing L train.
I'd like to ask you something. You don't believe the boy's story. How come you believe the woman's? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
You're a pretty smart fella, aren't you?
I should certainly hope somebody on this jury is.
Now, can I pass it?
Pass? No!
It was 8 o'clock. It was 8 o'clock, that's right. They heard an argument. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice. Finally, they saw the boy run angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Part of the
You
picture.
said it provided a motive.
Yeah.
The prosecuting attorney said the same thing. I don't think that was a very strong motive. This boy's been hit so many times.
Yeah, why is that night different?
Okay. How about you?
Oh boy. What you got, baseball?
Well, look at his record. When he was 10, he was in children's court. When he was 15, he was in reform school. Been arrested for mugging. He was picked up twice for knife fighting. Oh, yeah, they say he's real handy with a knife.
Since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fist.
So would I. A kid like that? Huh.
Where do you think that kid learned his survival tactics?
You got any kids?
3.
I got one. 22 years old. When he was 9 years old, he ran away from a fight. I said, I'm going to make a man out of you if I have to break you in 2 trying. Well, I made a man out of him.
Did you?
When he was 16, we had a fight. I haven't seen him for 2 years.
I wonder why you haven't seen him in 2 years. I'm shocked.
The kids who crawl out of these places are real trash. I don't want any part of them, I'm telling you.
Listen, I've lived in a slum all my life.
Wait a minute.
Please, maybe you can still smell it on me.
Now listen, Sonny.
Come on now, there's nothing personal
Oh,
about
no,
this.
there
Hey, how can you say that?
Fella, he didn't mean you.
No, you. Shut up.
According to testimony, the boy looks guilty. Maybe he is. I began to get the feeling that the defense counsel wasn't conducting a thorough enough cross-examination. I mean, he let too many things go by, little things.
And when these fellas don't ask questions, it's because they know the answers already and they figure they'll be heard.
It's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Or have the same misconceptions y'all do and just assume he's guilty and don't care to fight it.
What about the switch knife?
It had a very unusual carved handle and blade. He claims that it fell through a hole in his pocket on the way to the movie. He even remembered to wipe the knife clean of fingerprints. Take a look at this knife. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm asking you to consider it.
And I say it's not possible.
Boom!
Where did you get it?
It's mine.
I walked through the boy's neighborhood. I bought that in a little pawn shop just 2 blocks from the boy's house.
Listen, you pulled a real bright trick. Now, supposing you tell me what it proves. There are still 11 of us here who think he's guilty.
Are there?
I want to call for another vote. I
Blind.
want you 11 men to vote by secret written ballot.
Yep.
But if anyone votes not guilty, stay here and talk it out.
If I ever am on a jury, people gonna hate me.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I'm all right with that. If it means that I know that somebody got as fair as possible a trial, hate me. Please do. Boom.
Not guilty.
There it is.
Brother, you really are something. You sit here, vote guilty like the rest of us, then some golden-voiced preacher starts tearing your poor heart out about some underprivileged kid just couldn't help becoming a murderer, and you change your vote.
I don't think it was him.
What made you change your vote?
He didn't change his vote. I did.
There we go. There we
Like
go.
to tell you why?
Or you want to scream at me?
Now, he doesn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure.
Yes.
Got a little excited back
Oh,
there.
yeah?
Didn't mean to get nasty.
Oh, well, and yet you did.
You know, you do-gooders are all alike. You're always blowing the stacks over some guy that fan. But what are you wasting our time for? Why don't you donate $5 to the cause and maybe it'll make you feel better?
You are talking about someone's life.
So why don't we stop wasting our time here? We're gonna all get sore throats if we keep it up, you know?
What difference does it make if you get it here at the ball game?
There we go.
It takes a 6-car L train 10 seconds to pass a given point. When the window is open, the noise is almost unbearable. The old man in the apartment downstairs, he says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and a split second later heard a body hit the floor. The woman across the street looked out of the window and saw the killing through the last 2 cars. Therefore, the train had been roaring by the old man's window a full 10 seconds before the body hit the floor.
That's idiotic, of course he is.
How?
You're talking about a matter of seconds. Nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I think testimony that could put a boy into the electric chair should be that accurate.
Exactly.
Why should he lie? What's he got to gain?
It's not...
Attention, maybe.
Yeah.
You keep coming in with these bright sayings. Why don't you send them into a paper? They pay $3 a piece.
What are you talking to him like that for? If you say stuff like that to him again, I'm going to lay you out.
There we go. Thank you.
Why do you think the old man might lie?
It was just that I looked at him for a very long time. Seemed the jacket was split, under the shoulder. I mean, to come to court like that.
I love that.
He walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has been nothing all his life. He wouldn't really lie.
No.
But perhaps he made himself believe he
Yes.
heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story.
Eyewitness testimonies are wholly unreliable. The human mind is literally designed to fill in gaps.
Supposing he really did hear it. This phrase, how many times have all of us used it?
Yeah.
I could kill you for that, darling. Junior, you do that once more and I'm going to kill you.
Don't tell me you didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that the way he said it, they mean it.
Do you really think the boy'd shout out a thing like that so
Yeah.
the whole neighborhood could hear him? So he's much too bright for that.
Bright. He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
Wow.
Doesn't.
Ha!
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
There it is.
Well, if this isn't the living end, huh?
I'm sorry I'm making you use critical thinking skills.
And it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. Let us assume that the boy really did commit the murder. This happened at 10 minutes after 12. He came back home 3 o'clock. If he really had killed his father, why would he come back home?
Exactly.
The boy knew the knife could be identified as the one
Exactly.
he just bought. He had to get it before the police did.
If he knew the knife could be identified,
Why'd
why
he leave
did he leave it there in the first place?
Well, I think we can assume the boy ran out in a state of panic. He finally calmed down. He realized he had left his knife there.
He would have had to be calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints left on the knife.
Look, you voted guilty. What side are you on?
I'm simply asking questions.
Yeah. That's your job as the jury.
Yes. Juror number 8 has presented reasonable doubt.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, everybody here. I'm talking here. Another vote called for. Still the same. 1, 2, 3, not guilty. 9 guilty.
Come on, bud. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. Not guilty.
Pardon? I vote not guilty.
Oh. What? Oh. Hey, what is this? Love your underprivileged brother week or something?
It should be.
The kid you just decided isn't guilty was seen ramming this into his father.
No, he wasn't.
Reasonable
That's not
doubt.
the
That's
evidence.
not the
knife, don't you remember?
Exactly.
Oh, brilliant.
You literally just proved against your point.
Now, what about the old man? Are we supposed to believe that he didn't get up and run to his door and see the kid tearing down the steps 15 seconds after the killing?
Oh, well, wait a second. He said he ran. At least I think he did.
Look.
He said that he was limping.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to see a diagram of the apartment.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15 seconds. He was very positive about it.
He was an old man. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything?
Exactly.
Oh, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He would have had to walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet down, and open the front door, all in 15 seconds. You think he could have done it?
Sure he could have done it.
Well, let's test that.
Come on. What are we waiting for?
Well, I want to wait till the second hand reaches 60.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Also, I'm pretty sure that he is Piglet's voice.
Lock, door, stop.
41 seconds.
Here's what I think happened. Got to his front door as fast as he could, heard somebody racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assume?
Because human minds fill in gaps.
You all come in here with your hearts bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice. You listen to some fairy tale. Suddenly you start getting through to some of these old ladies. Well, you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. You all know he's guilty. He's got to burn. You're letting him slip through our fingers.
Slip through our fingers?
Yeah.
Are you his executioner?
Yeah.
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. You're a sadist.
Kill him
Tell me how I'm wrong. How am I
You
wrong?
don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
You just keep on proving yourself, don't you, dog?
I beg pardon.
I beg pardon. What are you so polite about?
For the same reason you're not.
Boom.
It's the way I was brought up. We have a responsibility. This I have always thought is a remarkable thing about democracy. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons why we are strong. You should not make it a personal thing.
Exactly, or a triviality.
Boy, oh boy, it's really hot, huh? Pardon me, but don't you ever sweat?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Maybe we should take another vote.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Number 6.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Number 9.
Not guilty.
Number 11.
Not guilty.
The vote is now 6-6.
Kid like that.
I don't think the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. The facts are supposed to determine that.
Exactly.
I mean, you keep shouting at the top of your lungs. I'd like to be a few years younger. That man gets on my...
Oops, sit down, Papa. You're doing all right. I love you.
Look at that come down, will you? You know...
That's you.
Mm-hmm. Love the rain.
Hey, huh?
Oh, you had to turn the light on. Hopefully now cooler heads will prevail.
Hey.
I know.
2 points. That's a damn stupid thing to do.
I mean, where does he come off calling me? A public avenger, sadist and everything? I mean, anyone in his right mind would blow a stack. You're just trying to bait me.
He did an excellent job.
Yep.
You don't fully understand the term reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
What do you mean, I don't understand? Well, how do you like this guy? I'm telling you, they're all alike. They come over here running for their life, and before they can take a deep breath, they're telling us how to run the show, huh?
Okay, define it for me. Define it for me, baseball.
An important point for the prosecution was after the boy claimed he'd been at the movies during the hours that the killing took place, couldn't remember the names of the movies or the stars who appeared in them.
It's the only alibi the boy offered.
Do you think you could remember details after an upsetting experience such as being slapped in the face by your father?
No, punched.
Monday night, my wife and I went to the movies.
What did you see?
The Scarlet Circle.
What was the second feature?
I'll tell you in a minute. The remarkable Mrs. Mrs. Bainbridge. The remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
I saw that. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
Mm-hmm.
Who was in The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
Barbara Long, I think it was.
Who else?
I'd never heard of them before.
And you weren't under an emotional stress, were you?
Yep. Oh, shit, he's sweating.
The boy is guilty, period. Know what I mean, my friend?
No, I don't.
He's got those cough drops.
They're all gone, my friend. Well, there was this whole business about the stab wound and how it was made. It's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's more than half a foot taller than you are.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you a demonstration. Somebody get up.
No, I'm good, thanks. You've been a very volatile creature. I don't really want to stand in front of you while you have a weapon.
Now, this is the way I'd stab a man who was taller than I was.
Why?
Did you ever see a knife fight?
No.
I was fixing to say, they said that the boy was handy with a knife.
Switchblades came with the neighborhood where I lived.
How do you use a switchblade?
Well,
You go,
underhanded.
yep, under the ribs.
That's why they made it open like that.
You'd say the boy was pretty handy with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was testified.
Now, with the experience he'd had all his life handling these things, I feel he'd have gone for him underhanded.
How do you know? Were you in the room when the father was killed?
No, but I grew up in the slums.
I don't know about the rest of them, but I'm getting a little tired of this yakety-yakking back and forth. It's
Oh,
getting
we're
us nowhere.
well aware.
So I guess I'll have to break it up. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
Oh, shit. Oh, he just wants to get out. He does not care. He doesn't care.
That's not an answer. What kind of a man are you?
A lazy man.
Want another vote?
Okay, all those voting not guilty.
Oh, who was this? I can't tell. Oh, dummy? Okay, dummy.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing.
What?
Look, you know how these people lie? It's born in them. They don't know what the truth is. No, sir. Well, nobody's blaming them for it. That's the way they are.
Wow. Wow.
Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. I've known a couple who were okay, but that's the exception, you know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
What's going on here?
We're not listening to you.
Listen.
No.
Listen.
I have. Now sit down and don't open your mouth again.
Damn.
But we have a reasonable doubt, and that's something that's very valuable in our system.
Yep.
We 9 can't understand how you 3 are still so sure. Maybe you can tell us.
I'll try.
Okay.
The evidence given by the woman across the street who saw the murder committed.
As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
She said she went to bed about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the window. She got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father.
You can throw out all the other evidence. The woman saw him do it. What else do you want?
She saw someone.
It's 6:15. Someone before mentioned 7 o'clock.
Did she wear glasses?
I was wondering why you rub your nose like that.
Is it because of your eyeglasses?
It is.
Your eyeglasses made those two deep impressions. I've never worn eyeglasses. 2020. The woman who testified that she saw the killing had those same marks on the sides of her nose.
And yet she just happened to look over while she was in bed?
She kept rubbing them in court.
He's right. Now, she did do that a lot.
Listen, he's right. I saw them too.
Do you wear glasses when you go to bed?
No, I don't. No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
And you just said she was rolling over.
Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw?
I don't.
I only know the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She had to be able to identify a person 60 feet away at night without
Through
glasses.
a
You
moving.
can't send someone off to die on evidence like that.
Exactly.
You think he's guilty?
Damn.
You?
Reasonable doubt.
I'm convinced. Not guilty.
What's the matter with you?
I have a reasonable doubt now.
Well, what about all the other evidence? What about the knife, the whole business?
Well, you said we could throw out all the other evidence.
Yep.
Said her testimony was the whole case.
Yep.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. It's my right.
What do you get out of sending this man to death?
I want to hear your arguments. We have as much time as it takes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've got all the facts here. Well, that's it. That's the whole case.
You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts.
There it is.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. Rotten kids, you work your life.
There it is. Because you're mad at him, you're willing to take it out on somebody else.
Not guilty.
There it is.
We're ready now.
How long were they in there? Less than 2 hours? 2 hours to decide the fate of another human being. And 11 people's opinions were changed just by having conversation.
What's your name?
Davis.
My name's McCardle. Well, so long.
And that should be how our system works.
All right, so that was 12 Angry Men. Your overall thoughts?
Gotta tell you, I think about only 5 of them were proper angry.
Oh.
No, this was a great film. I think it did everything that it needed to capture the situation. I love that you went into it not knowing the story ahead of time. Like we the audience were completely blind, and we learned along the way as they represented the evidence. I think that
you didn't get to see any of the actual trial, any of the testimony, any of that.
Yeah, so that we the audience did not have predisposed mental assumptions going into it. I really liked that. Ooh, I'm not gonna cry. I managed to not cry all the way through this. But it got me a couple of times. Because pretty much just like he was saying, they kept asking him, Henry Fonda kept asking him, what do you think? Do you think he's innocent? Or like, why don't you think he's guilty? Or this, that, the other. And his response was, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's completely valid. Your job as a juror in the United States of America is not to find whether someone is innocent. Your job is to prove them either guilty or not guilty. And not guilty is not the same as innocent.
It's not. That's why they say you have to find them guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And if there is reasonable doubt, you have to return not guilty.
Exactly. It's not a shadow of a doubt. Like, it can't be like, nothing is ever 100% proven, like he was saying. But if you bring into question the validity of the eyewitnesses who were, as the guilty claimants said so often, the eyewitness testimony was the main thing of this case. When you bring into question the actual validity of those witnesses, that casts reasonable doubt.
When you have reason to question it, it's reasonable doubt.
And I thought that it did such a good job of showcasing how when one person can say, are we looking at this from like truly factually driven eyes, or are we looking at this from assumptions and
from assumptions or an emotional basis or a prejudicial basis
or simply lazy? I mean, sometimes people just don't want to be on a jury. Sometimes people don't want the burden of having to deal with this massive, which should be seen as a massive deal. You are deciding the fate of someone, another human being on this planet. And I think that that's something that's really difficult for people to see until you've experienced it. I've never been a juror. I don't know. I can't imagine how I would feel really in that instance. But this movie is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they did such a good job of showcasing all of the different variables and variety of people that you see in a jury. Because some people, they just don't care. Baseball didn't care. He just didn't want to be there. He had shit he wanted to do, and everything else was just an inconvenience. And then we had old Sniffles McGee, who was 100% just prejudice. Like, that's all it was. You could have stacked every piece of evidence against him being, not guilty, and he wouldn't have cared because he was a kid from the slums. And then you had the, what was he, number 2?
Number
3, who was personally prejudiced because he was mad at his own son.
Yeah, and he saw his son in the defendant.
Yeah, and I really appreciated the, I think he was juror 4, the one with the glasses.
Yeah.
I really appreciated him. I was really glad that they had him because he was facts-based.
He was very cold and logical.
Yes, very analytical-minded, and as soon as like a piece of evidence was brought into question, that he could actually see like, oh wait, now hold up, this changes things.
Yeah, those were some of the main pieces of evidence. The testimony of the woman that he hung his on, so once the eyeglasses was brought into it, he had a reason to doubt it.
Yeah, this is a fantastic movie. This is absolutely fantastic. I love the little old man. He was precious, and I would have beat the brakes off of juror 3 for being so rude to him.
The other guy said, if you say anything else like that to him again, I'm gonna lay you out.
Yeah. I also loved that this is, a bottle episode, basically. You've got, this is your cast, this is the place. You were in this one space and that's it. I've said this before, I love that. I love a simplified cast and setting.
I think all but like 3 or 4 minutes were shot outside of the room.
Yeah.
Everything else, the whole hour and a half, was just them inside the room deliberating.
Yeah.
And it's just them deliberating and going over the case and talking and arguing back and forth, and you get really drawn into that and invested.
And the thing is, like, they weren't there. Like, pretty much what we saw was what they experienced.
Oh yeah, it was in real time.
Yeah, this was not elapsed. This was not over like the course of a day. Like, you saw 11 people change their vote in the course of like 2 hours. And that says all it needs to say, Yeah, I'll just sit here and kind of gush about how much I appreciate this. And I'm really, really, really glad. Thank you so much, patron, for choosing the original first. Because I really am glad to see this. And now I want to see the remake to kind of see what's similar, what's different. and see if there's a difference because of the change of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for notes if you've got them.
I'm going to start off with, you said something interesting earlier, or something that made me think of this, is that you don't really know what it's like unless you experience it, like being a juror on a case like that or something. The screenwriter, Reginald Rose, got the inspiration to write the script after he served as a juror on a manslaughter case.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
Another thing is, how did you feel about the actors in the room and like their portrayal and their tension between them, like feel real?
Yeah, I thought it was very realistic. I actually had a couple of moments where I was like, this is an unair conditioned room. Like, they put these men in this hot ass box and told them to act. I genuinely feel like that was probably the case.
Somewhat. The director did have them stay in one room for hours on end, rehearsing their lines, going over and over and over, and not filming them, just rehearsing, just to give them, get
in the headspace.
Get in the headspace of what it'd be like to be cooped up in a room, like deliberating and arguing for hours on end.
Yeah.
Another thing I want you to take a notice of when you're editing this is the beginning of the film, like it's all these wide angle, like wide shots. Even with the juror room, it's like a wide overview, and it gives you this sense of like the distance between everybody and how it's. Then as the movie goes on, the camera angle starts dropping down and getting closer in and closer in. So as their tension and like being stuck in the room with each other and deliberating, as it's getting ramped up, like the camera's getting closer and like to one point to where it's almost like below eye level basically for the rest of the shots.
I noticed that actually a couple of times, specifically with, I hate to call him the old man, but I can't remember what number he is.
Number 9.
Number 9. There is one shot in particular when he first started like having a dissenting opinion, or a not guilty opinion rather. There was a very close up shot of him that the angle was different, and it kind of like made you very aware that he was changing his opinion. Like the change in angle, well, for a hot second it was a little jarring, but then I was like, oh no, okay, all right, we're going in a different direction.
Visual storytelling.
Yeah. That old hat.
I think this film was shot pretty fast. It was done in 21 days, but the director that was hired for it was hired because he had done a lot of work in TV, and he was known for being able to shoot fast and either on budget or under budget, and like on a time restraint. And speaking of the low budget, there's some restrictions for the budgetary in this movie that makes it kind of unique, or at least in my eyes. So the restrictions on budgeting created this thing to where like once they had the room lit from a certain like shot, they would shoot all the scenes from that shot.
Yeah.
So when it goes back and forth, those shots could be days apart.
Yeah, it's all out of sequence. Yeah.
Which is mind-boggling to me.
That is almost kind of like storyboard level. Like you know you want these shots, you have to shoot this.
So yeah, they'd have to light it and then like shoot it from this way and then do all those shots that way and then relight it for this way and then do all those shots. So 2 actors on the other side of the room, and when it goes back and forth, like they could be.
Yeah, those aren't multiple cameras.
Yeah,
those
are days apart.
Yeah, that is extreme intentionality, and I love that. I very, very much appreciate that.
Another thing I read is that this film is commonly used in schools and like business schools to show team building and conflict resolution techniques.
I like that.
You know how we watched My Cousin Vinny? And that was the number 3 on the list of all time, like the great legal movies by the American Bar Association. This is number 2.
Okay. I can see that, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm assuming, just from your reaction during the movie, you were already on juror number 8's side, Henry Fonda, from being the one dissenting voice of not guilty. But is there anything else you felt about like his performance, his acting portrayal, anything in particular?
Overall, I really liked that his stance kind of throughout was not that I think he's innocent because he grew up in the slums. It wasn't like I'm dissenting just because I don't want to be in the majority. Like he didn't know, and he kept saying
the other jurors, especially number 3, kept calling him like a bleeding heart.
Yeah,
and like That's not where he's coming from.
And that was never his approach.
He did like say some things to that effect about, he had a hard life, but most of it was, I don't know if he's guilty or not. I have reason to doubt it, though.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing about that is he didn't really bring that up until about mid-ish way through the film. And then that was only in opposition to the other jurors saying, oh, well, yeah, of course he did it. He grew up in the slums, he's one of those kids. It's like, okay, well, if you get to use that logic, then I will also use that logic. I mean, you don't get to have it both ways.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked you about Henry Fonda's performance and everything is because he deferred his salary, and sadly, this movie did not make a profit, so he was not paid for it. Yeah.
That sucks a lot.
Even though he still says this is one of the best movies he's ever worked on, he's really proud of it. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in the movie? Any particular parts you enjoyed or didn't enjoy?
Nothing that we haven't really discussed. I don't know. I can't think of anything else, so okay. I guess not.
All right. You want to go to ratings?
Sure.
Go ahead and give yours first.
I think this is a great film for all the reasons I've said. 9.5.
Nice.
What about you?
Same for me, 9.5, and I'm really glad it was brought up or it was picked now, because I've been watching a lot of criminal docu-series on Netflix and things, and one I watched was The Innocent Man, which is based off a book that John Grisham wrote. It's his only non-fiction book, and it's about wrongful convictions, and in one case this guy was 5 days away from being put to death before he was finally exonerated by DNA evidence. So yeah, it's not a perfect system.
Yeah.
So them like being angry at the jurors for being so laissez-faire, or consistent, like treating it as something trivial, is an understanding, because people don't always get it right.
Yeah.
Wrongful convictions have happened before and still happen.
All the time.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I know I've given a lot of, this is how our system is supposed to work. I know we get it wrong sometimes, because sometimes this system works against people. Factually that this thing happened, but you cannot get certain evidence because of extenuating circumstances, or it's inadmissible because of some technicality. And that's where things get frustrating. I know our system isn't perfect, but it's what we've got, so it's what we gotta use.
So yeah, 9.5 for me.
Okay. Pippin. Pippin. Oh, okay. What would you rate this one?
Oh.
What would you rate this one? 10 angry beans? That's fair. Well, there it is. 9.5. 9.5. 10 angry beans. You guys let us know, what would you think? We raised a fair amount of points here. This movie raises a fair amount of points. What are your thoughts on it? What do you have as far as suggestions for other movies that are in the same vein? You have any other tidbits, behind the scenes information? We always appreciate that.
Very much.
What would you rate it? Let us know. If you all enjoyed the video, please make sure to like the video. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We greatly appreciate it. I think that's all from me anyways. Anything from you?
No.
Pippin's... Oh, he's gone back to sleep. Y'all, take care. And we'll see you next time with another First Time.